Hey, welcome to Beyond the Body. Have you ever wondered why intelligent people often procrastinate? Or why people who are highly self-motivated sometimes end up sabotaging their own progress? And why is it that no matter how many new business opportunities we chase, or new skills we try to learn, we often find ourselves earning the same amount of money or reaching the same level of success, as if there's an invisible ceiling we just can't break through? It's clearly not due to a lack of resources or opportunity. We live in a time where more resources are available than ever before. Yet many people, even with access to everything they need, never truly take a swing at life. As a result, their outcomes are average or even disappointing. Then there are others, people with almost no resources or support, who somehow beat the odds and create something extraordinary. Think about Colonel Sanders, who was broke and 65 years old when he started KFC. Or Oprah, Helen Keller, and Albert Einstein, who dropped out of school at 15 and failed his first entrance exam. These individuals prove that lack of opportunity isn't always the real barrier to success. What actually holds us back is something much deeper. Our nervous system is hardwired for comfort, but our soul, or inner drive, is wired for growth. That constant tug of war between staying safe in our comfort zone and reaching for our full potential is what creates frustration and keeps many people stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. So, how do we break free? Let's take a closer look at the human brain. The front part of our brain, called the neocortex or frontal lobe, is what sets us apart from most animals. This part of the brain helps us think critically and make conscious decisions. But here's the catch. It doesn't fully activate until we're around 7 years old. Before that, kids operate mostly in slower brainwave states like theta and delta, which is why they sleep so much and live in that magical world of imagination. They take in everything around them without questioning it, which makes them very impressionable. That's why Aristotle famously said, "Give me the child until he is 7, and I'll show you the man." So how does that tie into procrastination and self-sabotage? Let's say a dad takes his little boy Johnny shopping one day. The dad is stressed. He's worried about bills, his job, and maybe a fight he had earlier with his wife. Johnny, of course, is unaware of all this. At the checkout counter, Johnny sees a toy placed perfectly at his eye level, thanks to clever retail design. He gets excited and asks, "Daddy, can I have the toy?" Now here's a question for you. Have you ever reacted to a situation based on old beliefs or habits without realizing where they came from? At the checkout, he sees a toy, and like most kids, he wants it. He asks, "Daddy, can I have a toy?" But Dad, already stressed out and thinking about bills, quickly says, "No, you can't have a toy." He doesn't think he can afford it, and right now just isn't the time. But any parent knows, kids can be very persistent. So Johnny tries again. "Daddy, please, I really want the toy." You see, Johnny doesn't live in a world of credit card debt or job stress. He just sees something he wants and believes he should be allowed to have it. Eventually, the dad, overwhelmed and frustrated, snaps, "No, you don't deserve it. You haven't behaved well today." And just like that, he shuts Johnny down. Not to be cruel, but simply because he's trying to deal with his own problems and wants some peace. But here's where something powerful and often unnoticed happens. Johnny doesn't hear Dad's stress. He doesn't understand that this reaction has nothing to do with him. What Johnny does hear is, "I'm not good enough. I don't deserve good things." And that moment, though small to the adult, can become a quiet belief that Johnny carries with him for the rest of his life. As he grows up, he may unconsciously sabotage his own success to match that inner story, that he isn't worthy. And if he ever gets close to achieving something big, he might ruin it without even knowing why. After thousands of hours working with people all over the world, there's one truth I've seen over and over again. People will never rise above the opinion they have of themselves. The hard part is, most of those opinions are shaped before the age of 7, based on whether or not we felt loved and accepted by the people we needed love from most, our parents or caregivers. It's a tough truth, and I usually encourage people to sit with that for a moment. This idea also ties into relationships. I believe no one can ever love us more than we love ourselves. That's why self-worth is the foundation of both personal and relational growth. Now here's another layer to it. We are creatures of habit. The part of our brain responsible for logic, decision-making, and willpower, the frontal lobe, is incredibly energy hungry. In fact, while the brain only makes up 1/50th of our body's weight, it uses up about 20% of all the calories we burn. So the brain tries to save energy. It says, hey, if you keep making the same decision over and over, I'll automate it. Whether it's ordering fries instead of a salad or reacting to stress a certain way, it hands the decision off to the midbrain and forms a habit. And just like that, what started as a conscious choice becomes an automatic behavior. That's why you might find yourself pulling into work on your day off or getting home and realizing you don't remember the last 2 miles of the drive. Your midbrain is on autopilot. It's doing its job. But that autopilot doesn't always serve our highest good. Here's something to think about. How many of your daily choices are made out of habit, not intention? Let's talk about habits and how they control so much more of our lives than we think. You see, we only use our conscious brain, aka the decision-making, thinking part of our mind, about 5% of the time. The other 95%, that's run by our unconscious mind. I like to call it people sleeping awake. We may look alert, but we're actually running on autopilot most of the time. Here's a fun analogy. Imagine your conscious mind is like a little ant. This ant is focused, determined, hardworking, and full of motivation. He just attended a personal development seminar and set all his big goals. He's marching confidently north toward success. But here's the twist. The ant is walking on the back of an elephant. And this elephant? It's heading south. That elephant represents your unconscious mind, filled with limiting beliefs, old emotional baggage, and past experiences. Now you see the problem, right? No matter how focused that little ant is, if the elephant's going in the opposite direction, guess where they both end up? So how do you turn the elephant around? Let me give you another example. Your mind is like a compass needle. It can only point in one direction at a time. When we're using our conscious mind, in that 5% of the time, we can grab that needle and point it wherever we want. If we're feeling down, we can watch a comedy or call a friend. If we're tired, we can make coffee or take a quick walk. That's the power of free will. But here's the catch. The second we let go of that compass, it drifts back to its natural default setting, what we call magnetic north. For most people, that default is more negative than positive. That's why staying in a good place mentally takes more than just good intentions. Which brings us to the third challenge. Environment trumps willpower. What does that mean? It means no matter how strong your intentions are, your surroundings will influence your behavior over time. Here's another way to think about it. You can wear thick clothes and try to stay warm, but if you live in a freezer, you'll still freeze eventually. In the same way, you can stand in front of the mirror and repeat all the affirmations in the world. But if you're surrounded by people who constantly tear you down, remind you of your failures, or make you doubt yourself, at some point, you'll start believing them. That's the law of conformity. If you hang around 9 people who use recreational drugs, chances are you'll become the 10th. But if you surround yourself with 9 positive, motivated people, people who lift each other up, believe in growth, and support each other's dreams, guess what? You'll likely become the 10th in that group too. So here's the big question for you to think about. Is your environment lifting you up or pulling you back down? Let's get real. If you want to change your life, you need to stop putting the wrong things in. Our bodies and minds are built to adapt. That's what they do. You don't get to decide whether your body adapts. You only get to decide what environment you place it in. Whether it's a gym or a fast food restaurant, your body doesn't care. It just adjusts. It's the same with your mind. If you're constantly feeding your brain the wrong information, like negativity, gossip, fear, or doubt, your mind will adapt to that. 2 of the biggest influences on our unconscious minds are the media and the people we surround ourselves with. Let's talk about the media first. If you still believe the job of mainstream media is to report the news, I hate to break it to you. You're living in Disneyland. The real job of the media is to grab your attention. And how do they do that? By triggering a part of your brain called the amygdala, which is wired to notice danger, threats, and negativity before anything else. This keeps you hooked, glued to the screen, and helps them sell ads. It's not about truth or public service. It's about ratings. You can't watch the news every day and expect to stay positive. That's like saying, I want to be healthy, but I smoke. It doesn't work that way. You can go to the gym all you want, but if you're feeding yourself toxic content every day, your mind will stay stuck in fear and scarcity. So people ask me, how do you know what's going on in the world? Easy. Everything is going on in the world. The real question is, what do you want to focus on? Now let's talk about your peer group, the people you spend time with. Maybe you're thinking, I can choose my friends, but I can't change my family. And you're right. You can't pick your parents or change your brother's negativity. But here's some of the best advice I ever got. Love your family. Choose your friends. That means surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, not bring you down. People who believe in your potential, not constantly remind you of your limitations. And now the second tip, start putting the right things in. We live in a time when incredible information is everywhere. Podcasts, books, interviews, inspiring documentaries. There's no shortage of resources to help you grow. Expose yourself to content that pushes your thinking forward and helps you reconnect with your goals and dreams. If you don't take control of your programming, someone else will. And if you're not the star of your own movie, you'll end up as an extra in someone else's. Finally, the third tip, get the wrong things out. That means working with a good coach or mentor, not just someone who gives you tips and tricks, but someone who helps you dig deep and remove the unconscious patterns that keep holding you back. Here's an example. I had a client who came to me asking for help with time management, but within minutes, I could see time wasn't the real issue. The real problem was his fear of rejection. He couldn't say no to people, so he took on too much. The calendar wasn't the issue. His unresolved emotional programming was. That's why deep personal work matters. When you remove those invisible blocks, when you consciously reprogram your habits and grab hold of that mental compass, we begin to live intentionally, not by default. That's the real goal. Self-mastery. Forget chasing every new course or workshop. Work on yourself first. Throughout history, the greatest thinkers and leaders all said the same thing. Mastering yourself is the path to real success. When you commit to self-mastery, you become someone who can stay calm in chaos. When everything is falling apart, you're the one who says, I've got this. That's how you handle uncertainty. That's how you step into your power. And when you do that, you don't just change your life. You become an example for others. You don't need to force people to change. You just need to be the invitation. Show them what's possible by living it yourself. So here's a question for you. What's one small step you can take today to become the example, not the echo? If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Beyond the Body.